Hello, 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 and welcome to Motivation Monday with Lois. I'm trying to see if I can get it on my cell phone in case people want to have comments. So come on in, come on in. Thank you for showing up. Those of you that are going to watch the replay, thank you so much. Those of you who are here live, thank you for showing up. So give that time to get in. So I just want to let you know that my name, for those new people that we have in the group, my name is Lois Godot, and I'm a licensed clinical professional counselor, and I'm also the founder of this Facebook group, Resilient Mosaic Step Parents, and also for the coaching program, Mosaic Transformation Academy. Within the academy, I help step parents who are 1 to 3 years into the process of combining their two families. I help them understand the unique dynamics of combining both families and also help them to be heard and valued as they create the solid foundation with their partner in the blended family. So come on in, come on in. Today is part 2 of the series. I'm trying to see if I can get it on here. It's not really coming up. Oh well. It's part 2 of the series, Open Communication in the Blended Family. And today we're going to be talking about communication. I'm going to be giving you some tips for communication with your stepchildren. Now, I know some people, they take issue with the word stepchildren or bonus children. I did read something where they said, we're not step, we're not half, but we're family. Whatever you call yourself, it's okay as long as it comes from a loving place, because kids can feel that. You can say they're not my stepchildren or my bonus children, but then you treat them like that. So it doesn't matter what you say, it's what comes from the heart and what the children can feel. And so I just wanted to start this off with saying that for a lot of step parents, even if this is your second marriage, this is your first time being a step parent. And so this is new territory for all of us. And that's one of the things I wished I had known when I became a step parent, was that it was okay for me not to have all the answers. It was okay for me not to know what I was doing, because it was a new journey. And to realize that, because I knew how to be a bio parent, had that down packed, even though my kids were younger, I was figuring that out. But the step parent is a whole new different journey. And so to understand that this is new for you as well as the children. So it's going to be a learning process for both of you. And so if you go into it thinking that you're supposed to have all the answers and you're supposed to know how to do this and that, you're going to be disappointed because you don't, because it's a whole brand new journey for each person. And when you're starting out in your blended family, one of the things that you're trying to do is you're trying to find that balance. Remember, I'm talking about the first 1 to 5 years in the blended family, and that's when you're trying to blend. And so you're trying to find this balance between being a supportive, being understanding, also you being respected in the process. And then you're trying to figure out those, I call them those invisible boundary lines. There are some visible that you know, and then there's invisible boundary lines. So you're trying to figure all this out while you're trying to connect in this relationship, whether you're married or or you're not. It's still the relationship that you're trying to figure out, and those two by itself is difficult. But what you're trying to do is combine both of them at one time. And it's sort of, I like to call it, it's like this, like you're juggling balls, and every time something happens, there's something else thrown into the cycle. So now I got to juggle 3 balls, and then there's another ball. So I'm juggling 4 balls. And so that's how sometimes it feels like the blended family, like you're trying to find this balance here, and it's going to take time. I get a lot of comments from people, and when I tell them about what I do as a coach and a blended family coach, they're like, Lois, I wish I had known about you so many years ago, because that's when I really needed you. And then I have someone say, you know what? If I had known about it, then maybe we wouldn't have separated. Maybe we wouldn't have divorced. Maybe I wouldn't have walked away from the relationship. And then I get people that say this statement that really, it makes me sad when they say, you know what? I just waited until the kids got grown. That's sad to me, because it lets me know that you never dealt with the issues. And now with grandkids coming along, you're going to still be having those issues with the grandkids. Because if you never saw them as your children, you're probably not going to see the grandchildren as yours either. And so this cycle is going to keep repeating itself. And so the reason I tell this story is because this is my why. This is why I do what I do. Because I was in a blended family for 26 years and I struggled. And no one told me that the first 1 to 5 years would be difficult. And they were. They didn't tell me about the challenges. And it was a lot of challenges. And so I do this because I know that it brings value and it will help someone. Based on the comments that I have from people saying, man, I wished I had known this. It just reinforces to me that this is really important. This is really important for people to understand the challenges that are in a blended family. Because a lot of times when you understand what you're up against, now you can prepare for it much better. And so that's why I do even my little series here. I'm doing it so I can help someone. But moving right along, I was thinking today about when I was younger, of course, much younger. And the Brady Bunch was a sitcom that was on TV. And I love to watch the Brady Bunch because what it was it was two people and they got together and each one had 3 children from a past relationship. And they got together into this blended family. And they would have the like sibling rivalry. They would have things that happen in a blended family. And I really liked that show because at the end of that 30 minutes, they always figured it out. They always figured out what the problem was, how to make it better in 30 minutes. Now, I know that was just a show, but it was like, that's not real life, though. That's not real life because the kids were so compliant and they just get upset a little bit and then they, get in line and they'd be okay. They had the housekeeper, I think her name was Alice, and she was an integral part in helping out. But that's not how it is in real life. Sometimes you don't even have the support of the extended family. But that's for another time when we talk about, I think it's on part 4, when we talk about the grandparents and the other extended people. But in this house, they had Alice, and she was an integral part of helping them with the stepchildren. And I thought that was funny when I was thinking about it today, because I said, if only it was that simple. If only it was that simple that you'd be able to get together, life would be great, and you just have a little hiccups along the way and everything would be fine. But for those of us that are in the step as a step parent or have been in it, it doesn't work like that. What happens is that you have these children and now you have to figure out a way to get to them, to get them to see who you are, to get them to see your heart, your passion. And sometimes that can be a little difficult. And so I just want to start with just looking at children in general. Looking at children in general, because the younger they are when you start the blended family, you may have less difficulty. Now, that's not a fast and hard rule, but what it is the younger the children are, the easier it is for them to accept you as a step parent. One of the key factors, though, is if their biological parent that they live with, if they're having difficulty accepting you, of course, it filters down to the kids. But I just want to talk today about your relationship with your bonus children or your stepchildren. And a lot of times when I'm talking to people and they'll say that they're having problems with their stepchildren, and I ask them, well, what ages are the stepchildren? Because there are things that normally happen with kids. There's things that happen with their chronological age. There's things that happen with the stage that they're in. And sometimes what we do is we blame everything on, it's because they're in a blended family. But some of it is just normal behavior. Sibling rivalry, that's normal behavior. In a normal family, the siblings don't get along. And so if it's something that's normal behavior, what you have to do is say, okay, how would I handle this in my family? Sometimes the teens are trying to find themselves. I call it trying to find themselves, but what they're really doing is trying to establish their independence. And so they may take a lot of their frustrations out on the step parent. Well, is that normal behavior? That's normal behavior for a teenager, because where they're trying to establish their independence, they are going to lash out. It happened in my family with my brothers growing up. And so sometimes you have to stop and not just put everything on it's because they're in a blended family. Some things are just because this is the stage that they're in their life. And so I wanted to point that out because I want you to make sure that when you're dealing with your stepchildren, that you look at the ages that they are. The younger they are, sometimes they may go back to bedwetting. That might be something that happens with them. Well, that happens with children in a regular family. They've been potty trained, and all of a sudden, they may start having accidents. Unless it's a medical problem, that's something that happens with normal kids. I mean, in a regular family situation. So look at that before you automatically assign that to, oh, this must be because we're in a blended family. Okay, so I want to go over some tips that you may be able to use while you're in your blended family. So, tip number one, be clear about your new role. This is something that I absolutely did not do because kids are confused. The parents are not together. They don't know what's going on. All of a sudden, you show up and it's like, who are you supposed to be? You need to let them know that you're not trying to take anyone's place because there are things that their mother will do for them or their father, and there's things that you will do. And so you need to be clear and let them know and establish that right away that you're just an extra person, someone that's going to love for them, love them, care for them, and be there for them. This is a very important step that a lot of people, they don't do. Because remember, the blended family is different than when you're just regularly dating. When you're regularly dating, you may have a boyfriend or girlfriend, and you may or may not introduce them to your children. But once you decide to take it to the next level, whether you're moving in together, whether you're getting engaged to get married, you need to let your child know who this person is. And a lot of times we don't do that. We don't consider the children and how they may feel. And so remember I said before that it may be different situations and circumstances with the kids. They may have lost their parent. They may have went through a divorce, a separation. And so you need to really let them know what your role is in this situation. Tip number two, to take baby steps. Take baby steps and allow the child to lead. Allow them to decide who they want you to be in their life. I've seen people automatically, they're like, this is your new stepdad, this is your new stepmom, and they want to take control of the situation. And the child is like, whoa, wait a minute. I'm still trying to get over the last situation that my parent was in. And so you need to let them take the lead and let them decide who they want you to be in their life. Let them decide who they want to call you. If they don't want to call you mom or dad, that's okay. Because that's our next one. Tip number 3 is to don't take it personally. Don't take it personally because remember, you are the adult and they are the child. Whatever behavior they're having, again, they're a child. I see a lot of step parents that get upset because the child said this and the child said that. The 5-year-old said they hate me. They're 5 years old. They still are not sure about their emotions. They're still trying to figure it out. Because remember, you had a choice about being in their life. They didn't have a choice about you being. You had a choice to be in their life. They didn't have that choice. You decided I wanted to be a part of this blended family. They didn't have that choice. And I know sometimes it gets hard because kids can say things. Again, remember I told you I was a special ed teacher and kids can say things that get up under your skin. But you have to remember that this is new territory for you as well as it is for them. And they're trying to figure it out and you're trying to figure it out. And you can even say that to them and let them know, hey, I'm trying to figure this out. Let's figure this out together. Let me know how you feel. Tip number 4, treat your stepchildren the same as your biological children. Treat your stepchildren the same as your biological children. If you have Christmas stockings with your children's name on it, get Christmas stockings for your stepchildren also, because you want them to feel a part of the family. I did a live, I think a week or so ago, about my dog Cooper when I was going to bring him home. I made sure that the environment was conducive to a new puppy. I had a new bed. I had a squeak toy. I had things so he can feel like he was at home. And that's how you have to do with your children. Your stepchildren, you have to make sure that they feel like they're at home. You could have a dresser with clothes in it for them, things that they like, but make sure that you treat them the same way you treat your children. If not, they can feel that. You can say all you want to, these are these are my bonus children, but if you don't treat them like that, they'll be able to feel that. And step number 5, be involved in their lives. Show interest. Be supportive of things that they do. If they're in after school sports, go there, be there, show up. And I know it gets difficult sometimes if you show up and maybe their bio parent is there and they don't want you there. Well, you're not there for them. You're there for the child. And this is all a part of you're the adult. And so show up for them and let them know that you're there for them. Somebody said, yes, ma'am. Yes. And so I just want to let you know that in my coaching program, I really do a deep dive into, I have a section on what the child has lost. And I really talk about the losses that the child has, the losses of even consistency, things that they were comfortable with. They've lost all of that. And we have to keep that first and foremost when you're interacting with the kid and realize that they have a loss, and loss is a grief. And so we have to approach it with that. And remember, in regular grief, there is no expiration date. There's no expiration date that says in 6 months and 8 months, I'll be over my grieving process. There's no expiration date. And for kids, it's the same way. It's no expiration date on when they're going to feel like everything's okay. So you have to understand that. And again, I say this, remember, you're the adult and they're the child. And so I did put some, ask you to give some questions. So unless anyone has any questions that's on the StreamYard, yeah, it is so true. The StreamYard, I have a question that came in and it said, my stepchildren have different rules at their other parents' house than at my house, and it frustrates me. So what they're talking about is when the stepchild has different rules at your house than the other house. And that's a good question because you do want things to be consistent, but remember, you're dealing with adults. And what you feel is a value, their other bio parent may not feel is a value. And so I kind of think of it like this. When your kids go to school, there's different rules at school than it is at home. And kids, they adapt to it. They're adaptable. They know what they can do at school and they know what they can do at home. And so kind of think about it like that even though the rules may be different, be consistent with the rules at your house. Kids are adaptable. They'll be able to adapt to it. They know how to transition. And so don't get yourself so frustrated over it that they're let's just say they're allowed to go to bed at 8 o'clock at your house, but then mom lets them stay up to 11 or 12 o'clock. Well, first of all, ask yourself, is there anything you can do about it? And that's another section in my coaching program. We talk about learning when to disengage, which is step back, and when to move forward. And this will be one of those. Is there anything you can do about them going to bed at 11 or 12 o'clock at their bio parents' house? And if the answer is no, then you have to let it go. You can only be concerned about what you can do in your house. But again, kids are adaptable and they know how to transition. So they know what to do at your house and what to do at mom's house or dad's house. Okay, so does anyone else have a question that they want to ask? So I don't see anyone asking a question. So again, this is a 4-part series on open communication in the blended family. Just tips. This is just tips that can kind of get you start that process. But in my coaching program, I talk more into this And so if this is something that you really want to know how to communicate with your stepchildren, how to be able to create that bond, then send me a DM and I can talk with you about the coaching program, and if it's a good fit, we can go ahead and get started. So for Motivation Monday, I want you just to use some of those tips. Think about your stepchildren. Hopefully now you can see them with a different perspective and in a different light. And so I'll talk to you later on in the week. Somebody said, "Where have you been all these years?" Great info. How do you bridge? How do you bridge? How do you bridge the gap? Is that the question? How do you bridge the gap? Sister Rivers, you said, "Where have I been?" As I said in the beginning of the program, is this is information I wish someone had given to me, and that's why I'm giving it out now. I know when I was looking at some of the statistics, they said 75% of people in blended family don't seek out any help. Okay, Russ, 70% they don't seek out any help. And so when you don't seek out any help, it lets me know that you're going to struggle through it or you're just going to walk away from it. So I'm thinking you're saying, Russell, how do you bridge the gap between you and your stepchildren? I gave you some tips, but one of the biggest things that you can do is communicate with them, because children, whether they're in a blended family or not, they want to be respected. They want to be valued. They want to know that they're important. They want to know that you hear them. So I would say just keep reaching out. And even if they don't respond right away, remember I said there may be other circumstances that they're dealing with, and you can invite them into what you're doing. Let's just say if you're someone that you like to go fishing, then you can invite them along to go fishing with you. What they need to know, because you're new and they don't know, they need to know that you care. They need to know that you care. But communication is going to be the first thing that's going to really help draw the kids to you. And even when they aren't talking, you can let them know, "I see that you're not talking, and it's okay. I know you got some things going on," instead of trying to force things to happen. Let things happen naturally and organically with the children. And one of my points was to take baby steps and follow their lead. That's how that bond gets established. If you try to push your way and make them do something, it's not going to happen. So just let them take the lead. Did that answer your question? One of the things about the internet, the StreamYard, it seems like it's a little delayed. Okay, so that answered the question. So later on in the week, I'm gonna pop back on and hopefully have the guest on to be able to talk about communication with your stepchild. All right. So have a good day, and I'll talk to you later. Thanks for showing up. All right. Bye bye. Okay. In broadcast. Of course, it's not ending. I'm still here.